Yeah, and I could also.
She was flawless in every category.
I don't remember saying that,
Jeff
but
is Team Jen.
no, no.
You didn't just say
Everything.
spiritually, right? You said physically. You said all the emotional, relational. You had very little ever say that you've ever.
Look, the reality is,
You
right?
complained once that you like left crumb. That's what you ever did.
No, I don't want to be in a position where I'm arguing
After yourself.
about how bad Genevieve is.
During your marriage, how did intellectual connection play a role in your relationship? I think we've covered that to a certain degree, but did one of you take more responsibility for fostering this? And think the build up, not just in the 1 year, but think the build up of the relationship, the culmination being marriage.
I'm not sure if it was an intentional or open, like an explicit conversation about who would take the brunt of the responsibility.
And not necessarily someone taking it, but like just in retrospect,
like what happened.
Yeah.
I would probably say that I took a step back more often. I think Samuel's like a mighty rushing wind sometimes. Like if he has a thought, he's like, oh my God, this is the thought, this is the thing, it's gonna be so exciting, it's gonna be so awesome, it's gonna and then it's like, oh, whoa, okay, yeah, like hold on, like take a step back and listen. So I think because of the nature of how like he presents, I would be keen on like taking sort of a step back and like listening more. And he can just go on and on and on and on and on, like about like the tiny details and the big details, and it's so captivating, right? So I think in that sense, you probably would have talked more and like shared more, and it would have been more you, like, sort of spearheading the intellectual conversation, so to speak, and where we went in terms of thought. But yeah, I think I showed up. I would show up, every now and again.
That's interesting. I don't like. I'm listening and learning because I don't know that I realized that or saw that at the time that you were making space for me in that way, and slash perhaps withholding some of the things that you wanted to talk about. You did definitely make space for me to express the big and the little, and you're right. That's, I think, something that I valued as somebody who I could talk to and would understand, and would be interested in. So yeah, I think that's. I don't know that I have anything to add because that's to some degree new information for me. That's that I can't argue, right? Because yeah.
And I think that's a beautiful thing that that you do for somebody you love is you make space and then you get excited, you find excitement, you enjoy the details with them, and it's like because it's your thing now. It's both your thing. It's not just their thing, right? Anything to add, Jeff?
Well, Samuel, would you agree that tongue-in-cheek, at least, our relationship, our friendship over 20 years has been one sustained argument?
Yes.
But a good one.
Yes.
Like an argument in the philosophical sense. We're providing evidence.
Yeah. Sparring partner.
Yeah.
We have a decades-long ongoing debate. Yeah. That's what we have.
It can become important issues, though. History, politics, religion, theology, they can also become a distraction if there's moral roadblocks, right? And so it's always important too. And this is true with friends. It's true in marriage. I mean, it's easy to talk about issues and topics and subjects, but then and it can also be a way of not getting to issues that need to be faced.
Yeah.
And so there's also been an attempt to balance that in some of the challenges that we've faced together. Right.
For sure. Yeah.
Just in terms of just enjoying the intellectual bantering, so you just avoid certain issues. Like
that's the possible temptation is you just end up,
It's like a deeper type of shallow almost.
Focus, for sure. Focusing on that. Yeah. That's well said. Yeah.
That's
focusing
a good way to say
on
it.
the intellectual side of the relationship and discussing all these different things. But, we all need to have friends who can ultimately say, but how are you doing? And what's going on with you? And what, where were you last night? Right?
Yeah.
As opposed to us discussing like what the ramifications are from slavery. like in America today.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where I was
absolutely.
last night. I was mourning the pervasive and continual systemic racism that. No, I'm kidding.
Good. Okay.
I
We
feel
have-
so
we have
uncomfortable to
we
laugh.
have an
And,
Yeah.
anti-racism
Yeah.
expert in the room, right?
This is what happens when you
I'm
invite
like,
two white
oh,
co-hosts.
you got
Right?
two- yeah.
I was like, where is this going?
Pulling
I
a
was
joke
Joel,
in
I
it
was like,
instead of
Joel's like,
racism. You got two white co-hosts.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I didn't read the
going-
room still.
Two
That
white
was-
male
Going
co-hosts.
viral
Yeah,
for the
let's do
wrong
it.
reasons. Okay, here we go.
Did he really just say that?
Were there moments where intellectual mismatches cause friction or disconnect?
No, not that I can remember.
Yeah,
No?
I wouldn't say that.
Easy answer. Okay,
Mhm.
so do either of you feel pressure to keep up intellectually or to lead the relationship in this area?
No.
I think overall, I felt pressure would be a strong word,
Yes.
but I had a sense of responsibility, of leadership. I wanted us to grow in every area. And one of the great things about Genevieve is also a great and strong leader, right? And both of us have leader tendencies. And both of us have follower and submission or submissive tendencies as well.
Mm.
But I always had in my mind, we should be growing in these areas. So I would do things like send articles to Genevieve on certain topics, or like, it was definitely on my mind to figure out how are we going to continue to grow intellectually together. Genevieve at the time was studying full time, so she had a very clear focus as to what she was learning individually, but I was also cognizant of the fact that I felt like we needed to be learning something together so that we could have a lifetime essentially of growth together on certain issues or certain topics, right?
Yeah.
That we could lead others essentially on in those areas.
No, I was thinking maybe I would change my answer because the question was about the question was about if it caused contention.
Mhm.
And if I'm thinking about the way that we have conversations, not necessarily, but I do recall thinking many times and perhaps even saying it once or twice, like you're so smart, but you're not smart.
Hmm.
Like I remember that being the point of contention. Like my expectation and experience of you is that you're very smart. You're an intellectual guy, you know, IQ through the roof. And yet, here we are, you know, talking about this thing, or you've done this thing, or this is the decision that, you know what I mean? Like you're so smart, but yet you're not. I think that was the point of contention for me.
Yeah, and I would
Yeah.
agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was, I excelled in theory relative to practice.
Yes. Yeah.
Like a
Yeah.
university degree over a college degree. You know?
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
Whew.
Like
Yeah.
sometimes you need that that
Yeah.
ability to implement. A lot of
Mhm.
university kids are lost out in the workforce because they
Yeah.
just got all book knowledge.
Yeah. You
Well,
need the lab
for
work.
our American listeners, a 4-year college versus a 2-year community college program.
Junior college. Yeah.
Junior college.
Yeah, no, that's good. Looking back, do you think intellectual balance or imbalance contributed to the strength or challenges in your relationship?
I don't think our problems were primarily intellectual. Or even secondarily, or yeah.
So would you consider that one of the strengths? The
Yeah.
ship that was going down,
Yes.
we had a great catering program
Definitely.
on board. You know, what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes. I think this has been identified.
The ship was
Yeah.
sinking, but the ship was sinking,
Yeah.
but man, we had a great orchestra.
We could talk really
Yeah.
deeply and very like a long time about the sinking ship.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like how was it sinking? What happened to make it sink?
Yeah.
Like let's think about maybe like how, like what do we do after it sinks? Right? And so
Or-
like who's
or-
gonna be impacted and affected by the sinking ship? What were the components? What were the pieces that made it sink? Like what broke?
Right.
You know what I mean? What was made out of? Where anyway, you could just ask a lot of questions.
On another level, for people listening, do you feel that that's count on one hand, like things that you need to be looking for in terms of a successful partner relationship? Is that intellectual connection up
Yeah.
there?
I do, especially when we're talking about communicating with someone about what to do in life for the rest of your life. And so there has to be that intellectual compatibility. You need to be able to at least be willing to work towards openness, understanding, all of that. And I think growth is such a close close partner to just intellect, like just the idea that you want to grow, the idea that you want to learn, that you're willing to grow and learn, that you're passionate about growing and learning. That has to be an element of a fundamental element of your search. And then, of course, while you're married, your cultivation, continuously pouring into that. Because if I'm growing and you're not growing in 5 years, there's going to be too big of a gap. Right. And it speaks to similarly your connection. Like that breeds intimacy and connection. And we need that for a marriage or relationship, friendship, whatever, to work.
Yeah, and I used to agree with that, and I think on some level I
But
still
now
think,
the nonverbal.
yeah, like I still think you're gonna have a much easier time if you're intellectually matched. But I, in a combination of experiences that I've had since, like the ones I mentioned, traveling to the Philippines, living in the slums with people who were very different than I am, and just things that I've learned and heard, I really think that when you are looking to get married, you need to pick 10 things that are important to you and realize that you may not get all 10. If you're spiritually matched, if you're emotionally matched, if you're financially matched, maybe you won't be intellectually matched, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a bad marriage.
I agree.
I think
life's not perfect.
Exactly. And I think what you want to do in those situations is you want to see, I have these intellectual needs. How can I get that fulfilled in a healthy way elsewhere, right? Do I join a class? Do I have a community of friends who are...
It's your friends that you get that from. Yeah,
exactly.
For sure.
So, and I also think intellectual is one of the things that you can healthily and safely get from other people and other contexts, right? You can't get the same degree of intimacy outside of your marriage. You can't get the same degree of, there's a degree of financial synergy you need to have, for example. But intellect is one of those things that is a little bit lower on that list, that if for some reason you meet somebody, it's an amazing match in so many different ways, but you're not matched in this one area, I think that can be bridged.
Yeah, it's hard to accept. I know, and I'm yes, for some people, I think that might work. For me, I know that would never work.
But I think part of it too is if someone's looking to grow and that's a core value for them, then it might be a different weighted value for you.
For sure.
Yeah,
with that person, because even the whole idea, you have certain couples that are more of a tag team and they do business together, they do ministry together, they do whatever, and they value that highly. And then you got other people where it's like, oh, what did you do today, honey?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was out ministering, da 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 da.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great, honey. And it's like, and it's actually more of a cheerleader in that role, and they're holding down other roles.
Yeah.
But they're not necessarily in it with them, and it's like different strokes, different folks. Like people are wired different ways. But I think definitely if you're looking as a core value to grow, and that person's not growing or looking to grow, then that could definitely be a huge point of contention.
Absolutely.
But on the flip side, like you were talking about, it's like if you have the paradigm where you can find in other places, then you're good to go.
And I also think it can be dangerous. Like it can be. I mean, growth is my vice. Like I'll say that. I love challenges. I love growing and learning in life. But I think in a relationship where one individual values that and pursues that, and one doesn't necessarily, like it can become like so imbalanced that there's there's like it can lead to like manipulation and sort of power and authority issues, and like I should make all the decisions because I know best, because I think better, because I know more, because it can or it can be a deferring, like, oh, you speak better, or you know better, or you're smarter than me, so you make all the decisions. So I feel like there's a lot of room there for potential harm.
The intellect also seeps into other areas in terms of like your perspective and being able to engage spiritually with someone and so on and so forth. And it's I think of someone like who lives in a say a rural community and farmed, their grandparents farmed, they farmed, and it's like they're used to a certain pace of life, style of life, and then you have someone else who's saying, hey, I want to go experience the world. Like even that becomes a big point of contention in terms, but that's where you got to know, because some people, it's nothing wrong with that life. But you definitely got to find someone who's in that same vein.
Absolutely.
They may have to die to something that they weren't meant to die to in that process.
Yeah. That's such a great point. And I think you have to understand who you are, in order for you to determine what you can look for and what you can accept, right? And I remember I was talking to someone, a guy, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I don't have my passport up to date," and I was like, "I don't understand how you're living life. What does that even mean?" And my girlfriend was like, "Oh, but he's a nice guy," and I was like, "He doesn't have a passport." No, thank you. You know what I mean? Like that's a deal breaker for me, because I want to know that you're like hungry for experiences and able to travel. That part, but hungry for the learning that comes from travel and desirous of exploration and all of that stuff. And yeah, that's definitely like probably top 3 on my list. I think number 3 on my list: spirituality, spiritual intelligence, emotional intelligence, and be smart.
Any last questions, Jeff? No.
No.
Maybe the last question to sum it up: what advice would you give to couples looking to strengthen their intellectual connection?
I would say work on yourself. Discovery. Just work on exploring, how you are, who you are, what you like, things of interest to yourself, and then share that. It's sort of it's a personal work and a personal walk first, right? And then, I mean, just kind of get over yourself and don't take life too seriously. Have some fun.
I agree with that, but I would say almost the opposite. I would say try to identify what interests your partner have and then study those interests. So then you have something that you guys can build towards together.
Especially for people that are already in a relationship and they're looking for advice, and you're saying, "Oh man, like I would have wanted that in retrospect, and it's not there." I think definitely. I mean, again, I know it's not a faith-based podcast, but you're in it, and it's not a reason to check out. And I think that there's
Absolutely
an
not.
honor before God, and to take it to God, and to possibly get some counseling on that. But then also understand that love is like what you were talking about, Samuel, is really amplifying and exemplifying. Remember the reasons why you did fall in love with that person, and really invest in. Because again, there can be a tendency to now the grass is greener, or the
Yeah.
idea of what's not there as opposed to all that was there. You didn't get into that relationship for no reason, hopefully. So remembering those reasons
Yeah.
is and really focus on those as a value to help I guess balance out the perspective that can sometimes become jaded.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Well, that is the conclusion of
Are we voting again?
episode number
Are we
2.
voting
We are
again?
going to end on the question. And the question, choose in hand, both of you, is who carried the relationship intellectually?
I want to see all 4 shoes. Out of the conversation.
No, you voted for me. I win.
Do we just switch?
We did switch. Yeah.
We did.
Quick thoughts on that.
So if I had to summarize my thoughts, is there is not one negative word that I can say about Genevieve intellectually, past or present. There was never a complaint that I had. There was never any lack. And the distinguishing factor that made me lift her shoe is that Genevieve also has several degrees. So Genevieve's intellect has been tried and proven to some degree and validated and measured, whereas mine, I have 0 degrees, so mine has not been, right? I don't know how smart I am or I'm not. And I'm not saying that degrees are the only way to validate or verify that, but I do think I do want to honor Genevieve for putting in the time and hundreds of hours and time and money and focus into proving her intellect and refining it in certain areas. And that's why I voted for her.
But her intellect, those aren't her only virtues.
Her intellect is not her only virtue?
Yeah, I mean, you said you could never falter in any way whatsoever intellectually, but I mean, I think you'd probably be willing to say the same.
No,
thing
I
in
can
many
falter
other- in many other
respectfully.
categories, right?
Respectfully, I can falter in many categories.
Really?
Yes.
It's Team Jen right here.
yeah.
Okay.
It was just an honor shoe. It was just an honor
Yeah,
shoe.
yeah.
It was a good way to end the show.
And I could also
She's flawless in every category.
I don't remember saying that, but
Jeff is Team Jen.
I know
okay?
Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah, in spiritually,
That's
she's
what you
flawless in every
said.
category.
Everything.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah. My
You
faith.
didn't just say
Everything.
spiritually, right? You said physically. You said you said all the emotional, relational. You had very little ever say that you've
Look,
ever. I
look.
mean,
The reality is,
you
right?
complained once that you like left crumb. That's what you ever did.
No, I don't want to be in a position
Should
where I'm
clean up
arguing
after yourself.
about how bad Genevieve is, because realistically, right, out of 3+ billion women in the world, Genevieve was the one that I wanted to, that I got on one knee for and decided to spend the rest of my life with and for, right? So there's no, I can't, I'm not up here to poke a bunch of holes in her character or who she is as a person, right? And in every category,
Yeah,
obviously.
you've never done that to me anyway regarding her.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, but we are here on a podcast and we're going to be real. That's what we promised to give y'all, right? We're going to be real about our own
Where the breakdowns, where the
learnings and
cracks
flaws
are.
and mistakes. We're going to have those conversations. But in this, there's nothing that I can say other than good things about Genevieve in the area of intellect.
yeah, we'll try to come up with a short list of her flaws.
Oh, Lord.
Hopefully we can have some content, right? Hopefully.
On the next episode
Right.
of Sam and Jen Got Divorced, we'll be
Stay
looking at
tuned.
Genevieve's flaws.
tuned.
Okay.
Yeah.
I put up both because I used all of our definitions
Mm.
together, not just mine.
Mm.
Is there growth there? Well, we will end on that note.
You need to
Thank you
close.
again for having us,
Mhm.
Sam and Jen, and hopefully it was helpful for the audience.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you have not yet, please make sure to like, share, follow, subscribe. We love the support. We love to see it. And we want to know what we can do to engage you even better. Is there something you want us to talk about? Let us know in the comments.
Other than Genevieve's flaws.
If you want an entire series on Genevieve's flaws, we can do like a 10-episode series. Bring in her friends,
There are a lot.
her mom. Like
There are a lot.
we can make it work. No.
Don't bring on my
We
wife.
need like a whole
my
year.
my wife thinks very highly of you also.
Oh,
That's-
I
Yeah.
think very highly of her too. Mhm. But there are a lot. We could do a year.
Yeah, I don't think we'll do that series. But yeah, thank you all for watching and for listening. We'll see you next time.